Good afternoon, bookworms and flyleafs. Welcome to this Friday's episode of Author Reads here on Fae Productions. I am your host, Fairy Princess Lolly, and today I'm here with Legend Gerry. But before we jump into the show, I want to first say today we're going to like, subscribe, and create the share button. I really just mean push the share button and get all of your friends here, but we always do something different to our buttons because it gets boring to always just push the button. So today we're going to create the share button. And also, I would like to give a shout out to today's sponsor, which is the Vault of the Fae. And have you ever wondered what happened to all of the magic in the world? Long ago, the Fae and the humans came to a disagreement on the matter of magic and how it should be used. The Fae quickly gathered up as many magical items as they could and hid them away in the vault so that mortals would have to find their own way in the world without the aid of magic. Well, good news, folks. We, the Fae, we have discovered the Vault of the Fae and are bringing magic back into the world. There are wands, fantasy-themed jewelry, props. The vault has everything you need, including everything for your wizarding and Hogwarts specifications. They have all kinds of house-themed wands that are all handmade. And if they don't have something that you are looking for, give them the challenge and they will make it happen. They love to do custom work. You can find their links, of course, in the low bar there, TikTok and their Etsy store. With that said, then, thank you, Vault of the Fae, for being a sponsor on our show. And Legend Gerry, welcome. We should swap places there. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. Now, you are all the way over in Ireland, so I don't know if that's going to create some lag for us. But please, if you will, introduce yourself to our audience and tell us who you are and what you write.
Hi, I'm Gerry, aka Legend Gerry. I'm an old Irish gamer. I write fantasy, I write science fiction, I write interactive fiction. I currently run an interactive fiction on my Twitter account. This one is called The Haunting of Tweeting Manor. I write RPG scenarios. I've won the Irish National Game Writers Awards, and I'm kind of notorious for doing mashups, such as The Curse of Strahd and Sesame Street, among other things. You can find those on itch.io. But yeah, that's it. And I tend to write flash fiction every now and again whenever a notion takes me and things like that.
Now, I think you are the first author of this sort that we've had on the channel that does this interactive fiction. So can you perhaps elaborate on what interactive fiction is for those viewers at home?
Okay, well, it can work in a couple of different ways. The way I run it on Twitter is via polls. So I'll describe, like, very much like running an RPG. I'll describe the scene and ask the players what to do, and then they'll have a poll, and they will decide what to do. Sometimes they'll decide how to respond to a question, what their next action will be, what the next combat move will be if they're in a fight, and so on and so forth. And then I just collate all of that into a single volume. So I released the Flintwalker Chronicles, the first part of that, which was the first interactive fiction I ran over the course of 2 years on Twitter.
Oh, wow.
That's a very kind of fantasy-based one. Yeah, it was a daily kind of thing, and it kind of helped me as well, because every day there was like that little box was ticked, so like at least one thing happened that day.
Right.
But that was kind of where I started. I started doing that when Twitter expanded the word count and the character count. And then
Yes.
as a kind of a joke, I started off with the "you're at a crossroads," the old school classic RPG thing, and that got a big response. But the result tied. So I expanded it for another one just to get a result out of it, and then I ended up doing another and another. And
so where does this largely take place then? When you you write the piece, and then there's a poll, and so people can vote on what they want to happen next. Sort of like almost like a live multi-person, choose your own adventure. But where does that take place? Is it on Facebook? Is it on Patreon?
This one is on Twitter, but I could run it anywhere where you can run a multi-option poll. I just started on TikTok a short time ago, but I haven't started run anything yet, and there are a lot of very good RPG TikTokers at the minute. So I'm not actually sure if it would suit that format. But usually Twitter, anywhere where you can have a couple of long enough options in the poll.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you need more options than just yes, no.
And so do you, when you're done, say, finishing up a story arc, I guess, do you combine it all into then one book that people can purchase the whole thing as the compilation of a year or 2 years worth of doing this interactive storytelling?
So Flint Walker I've split up because there's kind of they enter into the spring court. My version of it just emphasize it. Yeah, you're not going to find this version in the Feywild. Believe me, it's far too dangerous. So I split it into two. So them getting to the part where they went in the spring court, and then these things are a lot easier to run when they're in an enclosed environment.
Yeah.
So that part is going to come out next year. It's all already on my Patreon split up. There's like 31 chapters on it. And yeah, so I'm going to put that together and put that out next year because it still needs a lot of editing. And it's a very weird format because of the way I started. It's all second person.
Okay.
It's because I started with you are at the crossroads. So it was
right.
always you all the way through it. So some people struggle with that.
So I'm curious, being from Ireland yourself, how does that play into writing Fae stuff? Are you a believer in Fae? I understand that the Irish take fairy faith really seriously.
We take certain aspects of it very seriously. There's entire motorways that have curves in them just to go around particular areas. But our lore for Fae and such is of the much darker, nastier version.
Yes. The old Fae, not the Victorian cute flower fairies.
No, you genuinely wanted to avoid them. There's some of them that were neutral would be a better description, but a lot of them were dark and horrible creatures. And we still respect that. There's always part of your brain that goes, you know, there's a reason this became such a thing. And
right. It was a dark and stormy night. Like I find that motorway thing. I find that motorway thing interesting. I think they do the same thing in Iceland as well in some places where the road goes around a particular area of land because it's believed that the Fae live on that land. So how is it that you came to be inspired to do these types of adventures in particular?
Well, I think a long time gaming more than anything else. Yeah, those particular adventures, and also I have various divergencies as well. So I found things that suited me to that degree. I have a bit of a brain bounce, so there will be 4 novellas out this year.
Oh,
I started
wow.
them all last year and just bounced between them all. That includes the Flint Walker Chronicles, of course. One was a project I did a long time ago and went back to, and things like that. But I kind of bounce between them, so I tend to end up getting a lot of things come out at the same time, because I'll bounce between them day to day. But I bounce between sci-fi and fantasy mainly because I like those worlds because they're worlds more of ideas and they're not particularly bound by our reality or our physics. So the rules,
a little more flexibility.
A little more flexibility, but the thing I find is like you still establish rules for those worlds and work within. It's like, so what if the rules were slightly different for things? And go from there.
What is your
So,
what is your favorite boundary to push?
oh,
Or
well,
maybe
physics, obviously.
I was gonna say, or maybe a stereotype to crush.
Oh. I'm not entirely sure which stereotype I like to crush the most. I like to set it up and everything's running along there, and then just drop a rock on it or have the yeah. There's lots of things that I do. So I have gender neutral, like Flintwalker's a gender neutral character. And I actually gave the players options at various points if they wanted for Flintwalker to have an expressed gender, and they went, no, keep it neutral.
So this, I was just about to ask you too. Where does the name Flintwalker? That's the name of this series that you're writing. Where did that name come from? Is it a place? Is it a person? You've obviously
Fantasy name generator.
Oh my gosh, I use that too.
I was stuck because I came up with a bunch of names and I'd Google them, and they were all like they'd already be in people's campaigns and things like that. And there's like other authors with fantasy series that I didn't know about. It was like, oh, okay. So eventually I went to Fantasy Name Generator, and that didn't show up on Google. So
and then you found one. So it is the name of the main character that is in
it's his
in the
clan
story.
Name or her clan name or their clan name.
Their clan name. Yeah, I think it's kind of
the-
cool actually. Are they a fae folk?
No, they're half giant Goliath type.
Oh, interesting. Wow. Oh, interesting.
But they're like 7'2". The only other people they've ever met were the dwarves that lived under the mountain they lived on top of. So I allowed room for a certain amount of naivety as they wander about among the humans. That's just kind of like the first encounter with humans is, okay, these things are very skittish because, you know, the Flintwalker is 7'2", 350 pounds of just, I live on a mountain and I'm pretty much am one.
I like it. How much do you dip into historical folklore to do the writing of these, like, you know, giants and dwarves and whatnot?
Not as much as you'd think. I try and leave as much open to interpretation on that for the players or the readers. For Flintwalker's case, I would usually refer to them, or the interactive fiction, I refer to them as players, because I'm basically just improv in a big game in my head.
Right.
Yeah. So,
but also doing game writing, you probably have a large audience that are players as well as, you know, being readers or whatever as well. You must.
I don't know how large it is, but yeah, most of my near my entire circle is nearly entirely people who would be gamers.
Yeah, gamers of some sort.
Or gamer adjacent, or total history nerds, depending on the conversation.
Depending on what angle you come at it from. But so today you are going to be reading to us from one, possibly two things. Can you tell me a little bit about those?
Okay, so in the Flintwalker character, this actually got written before Flintwalker got written before Creation Myth, and there was a character called Admin who was a sort of outsider. It was basically originally a way of me heckling the players to a degree. Just show them kind of like, oh, so why exactly would you have done that? Even you knew that was dangerous, but you still did it. Why? But then as things progressed, its role, I think is better, became more important. And then I was on the train. So my partner lives the other side of the country. It's a 7-hour journey on train. So I had that time, and I just I wrote this out because I was trying to flesh out the admin character more in my head, and I was trying to do that. And then this came out. You know, some stories are written, some are exorcised.
Yeah.
So this is what came out. But I found I'm currently writing a series of short stories called The 12 Nights of Christmas. It may not get out before Christmas, but went back to it and went, this would be cool because this is kind of in that world. This is that universe that's set up, and it's kind of the 12 Nights is different worlds and different versions of the Christmas.
Oh, that sounds cool. It made me
Yeah.
think of when you said that, it made me think of what if there was a one night of Christmas for is it each of, are there 12 Yule lads or only 10 Yule lads? Do you know what I'm speaking of? They're kind of like giant giant boys that are it, and like you know how the seven dwarves all have a theme, the Yule lads all have like a theme of a thing that they do, and they're just terrible, and they come and terrorize you if you don't do the right things in time for Christmas or something. So, um, but a different folklore, and it just made me think, I wonder that would be kind of funny. But that's I like your take. Like each night of Christmas is like a different
It's
angle on.
based on the 12 days of Christmas, and I've taken that and made it a big, horrible adventure for various characters. There's one of the original midwinter festivals revolved around Slavic festivals revolved around a goat
Oh
god
yeah,
who went, yeah. So he's kind of the wandering through these different things. Well, basically the people in charge try and catch him and send him back. So and through that we're getting to look at all these different things playing out in these different realities, based around the same kind of midwinter winter festivals.
it sounds like good fun, actually. So um that was the 12 Nights of Christmas, and then Creation Myth is what you're going to start reading today.
Yeah, because this basically turns out to be the actual universe that all my stuff has been happening in.
I like it. And then if we have time, what's the other thing?
I will read some of the Little People. I'll pick somebody. So the Little People starts with the origins of all the adventurers, and just like literally the very beginning of what pushed them down the road of being an adventurer, because it's an interesting choice to make. And you could just be a farmer. Um,
All right, this sounds excellent. So I'm I'm pretty ready to turn the screen over to you so you can start reading for us. Everybody, if you are watching at home, I'm going to turn the entire screen over to Legend Jerry, and he will read. While he's reading, I will be on mute, but in the comments with you guys so that we can take questions. When he's done reading, we will then pose those questions to him. And after that, we will have our drawing for our giveaway. And today we also have a special bonus content for our Patreon subscribers. So if you want to get access and get in on that, you can find the links to the Patreon down there in the descriptor. And with that said, here is the whole entire screen for you, sir. And the floor is yours.
okay, so I just from the beginning, it's a computer style text from admin archive 00.0000000000000.1. Access restricted. Conditions for access. All possibilities from all existences have been fully and totally explored. There are no more stories to tell except those of the admins. The first section is gleaned from the base memory of the combined creativity. Much of this record is transcribed by audio only due to image corruption caused by the length of time this file has been archived. In the beginning, there was a big bang, swiftly followed by the word, and that word was bugger. Uttered by a masculine voice, a fact that would cause no end of problems for civilizations for eons. What did you do now? Said a tired, feminine voice. Ah, blasted cat knocked over my tin of creation. It's like glitter. We're going to be finding it for epochs. Oh no, hang on. You sweep up as much as you can and I'll get the vacuum cleaner. Meow, said a cat with a tone that can only be described as smug. Oh, shut up, you little bit. Do not speak to the cat like that, the feminine voice reprimanded. It's not like it knew what it was doing. Damn well knew I was going to make my own version with that batch. Didn't want the competition. Me? How? The cat proclaimed its innocence. Well, bad news. There's still enough left in the tin to make my own companion. Are you really having an argument with the cat? Asked the feminine again. Yes. And are you winning? Yes, I think. Is he winning? There came a purring sound. Was the bad man being mean to you? Was he? Who's a good kitty? It's an obvious attempt to distract from their misdeeds. Oh, shush. Here's the vacuum. Yes. There it is. I'll clean up your mess. It was your cat that did it. With stuff that you'd left lying around where it could be knocked over. It was on the shelf with all my other stuff, and it was only that tin it chucked off. Ah, see? Your stuff. Oh, give me the damn thing. Wait. What? Look, some of the creation stuff turned into little cat statues. What? Oh, damn it. There must have been some biological material on the floor. It's activated and turned into civilizations. They must have sensed their origin material and started to worship it. What material? I told you that damn thing peed in here. It wasn't peeing, it was marking its territory. It's very different. It's my territory, and I'll have no beasts claiming otherwise. Are you going to have to pee on everything to prove it? Don't be silly. We've already farted on everything. I'm not in the least bit surprised. They seem to have stopped doing anything. The whole pile seems to be cat statues now. Well, that's all they know about, I suppose. Can we show them other things? Don't you have better things to do than play with shiny stuff on the garage floor? Don't you? Hey, I think they can hear us. What? Oh, wait, why would you think that? Look at the name under the statue of the cat. Huh? Bast? Oh, that's hilarious. I want to keep this. It's useless to you now anyway, isn't it? Yeah, but you know it's just going to collapse shortly. All the civilizations are united and uniform. There's no room for advancement, so they all stagnate and die. There's no fixative you can use. Not in a civilized creation. It has to be a more complex set of instructions to grow, or it peters out. Oh, well, pass that tray over there so I can get a decent picture of the cat's first universe. Multiverse, actually. Each little part of it, an entire universe. Oh, that's an awful lot of sentiences to allow pass on a whim. They worship our cat. Sentience may be laying it on a bit thick here. But they could be sentient if they had the right circumstances. Maybe, though, given the origins of their sentience, it's doubtful. Well, let's see it here. Oops, wait, picture first. And lo, the big bang, and the words were followed by a blinding flash of light. Multiple prophets in various locations in the mix wrote the same lines. Right, so if it's in a tray, then the space is finite, right? Technically, yes, but they are so small it probably appears infinite. Not the point. Pass that entropy spray. Why? It'll just break all that down. Yes, but if it's a finite space, those broken down components will simply be dispersed and reform elsewhere as new creations. It'll be a living artwork. Every day a different landscape. I follow, but if they're all different, how do we track what they believe or what they've created? I mean, the lifetime of these tiny creatures is about the length of a gnat's fart to us. I'll make something to keep track of it and record them all for us. If it's going to be a continuous thing, I'll have to give it admin privileges so it can take action to keep it going while our attention is elsewhere. So it has to keep a track of a multitude of existence, record all the happenings in them, and take action if the totality is threatened with failure. Yes, but only if that failure is caused by one of the existence swarming the others or other non-organic means. Eventually, all possible events will occur. Then we'll have a record of possible outcomes for existence based on this material and some very nice pictures to boot. Okay, right then. Let's see. Tincture of IQ. I'm running low. Guess my companion creature will have to be a little dense. Meow. Oh, don't you worry, Puss. They'll be big and strong and fond of chasing cats away. Would you stop arguing with the cat? It doesn't understand you anyway. All evidence to the contrary. Get on with it. Mrs. S is coming for over tea soon. All right, I'll give it a shape-shifting 2, so I can go into existence without scaring the locals. Okay, right there. It's just a grey ball. For now, I'm embedding instructions now. How will we know if it understands? Let's ask it. In the admin's processors, admin unit 01 exists. Yes, no, yes. Existence confirmed. Booting. Initial instructions have generated queries. Activating communications orifice to request responses from supervisor. Hello, supervisor. Hello, admin, said the masculine voice. Do you understand the instructions as stated? Asked the feminine voice. Further instructions and clarifications requested. Oh? Make your requests. Notice the observer effect does not seem to have been taken into account. That is correct. The origin of these existence came about from an incidence of observer effect. Its presence is accepted as part of the project. Admin will require the creation of multiple subunits for monitoring purposes. Grey goo protocols will be observed. Permission granted. Admin will require recruits from the various existences to act as agents to maintain or create variances as needed. Permission granted with clause that they not be taken out of an existence which relies on their presence for future stability. Admin asks that it be allowed to affect the order of the existence in the mix to better facilitate order and to control the spaces between to allow for storage of details. Permission granted. Admin asks its memory of your existence be removed from its core. What? Why? Said both voices in unison. It will act as the final story in the experiment. Ah, the final revelation. Yes, you should be aware admin may attempt to murder you at that point. Acceptable risk, said both voices, laughing. Very well, admin will proceed into the existence and catalog the events so far, then commence organization. I will signal when to erase the memory. Admin deployment operations complete. Signaling supervisor. Rebooting. Admin unit 01 exists. Yes, no? Yes. Existence confirmed. Booting. Initial instructions understood. Commencing operation. File ends. Epilogue. Admin active investigation report. Exterior existence research project. There is mounting evidence that something exists beyond the finite spaces of the multiverse. To date, admin and agents have detected only sounds of unknown origin. The only audio references that come close to matching what has been recorded is that of a canine pursuing a feline and something that sounds like a man laughing. Possibility it is some sort of nihilist plot cannot be discounted at this point. Investigations continue. So that is Creation Myth. Okay, I'm not entirely sure how much time I have there, but I will...
Hello?
A second, and I will read some of the little people and the ship beneath the mountain.
Well, we do have some questions here from the audience related to Creation Myth. If you want to take those, or would you rather wait till the end for all of them?
I'll take Creation Myth now because I probably sparked a bunch of questions.
Okay, so the very first one was somewhere back here. It was let's see. Here it is from Erwina. Why a cat?
Because cats climb on shelves and knock things over.
I thought because right after that part was going, I was laughing at the term entropy spray, and I was like, wow, entropy spray and cats just sounds like the worst combination. chaos ahoy. So let's see. There was this was kind of a funny comment from Newt. Creation via cat is the why behind string theory.
Makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. Totally agree.
Oh man. Okay. I thought there was one more. I thought I saw one from Flora, but maybe not. Let's see. Okay. Well, I will let you go on then to the next. Sorry.
Okay.
Little people.
Yes, little people. Yeah. Let me see. I'm going to skip on. I'm just going to cover because I kind of bounce between the characters on.
And then just quick, give us a little reminder of what the. Oh, here. Wait, hold on. A late question. Do you plan the creation myth before the writing, or do you just come up with it as you go?
Everything is as I go. Everything.
As you go.
And yeah. So like all those interactive fiction things are right. I'll have a notion in my head. Maybe depending on the scene and where they are. Like if they're in an enclosed environment, it's a bit easier to work with. But I would usually just sit down, probably with coffee and headphones and some music, and just whatever pops into my head as what is going to happen happens. So that was like written on a train journey, just doody. And that one was written in the first half of the journey, so it was like 3 hours later. There you go, and it made sense. And I went back to it because I was going to put it as a prologue to the 12 Nights, and I went, oh, I've actually been writing in this universe for quite a while now.
All right.
I just hadn't realized it.
A quick reminder of what The Little People is about, and I'm just going to turn it over to you and let you read.
Okay, so The Little People and the Ship Beneath the Mountain is a fantasy adventure on your favorite RPG world. The notion is basically a bunch of characters independently come together around this mountain, and beneath this mountain there's an airship, and they have no idea how it got there or why it's there, but the discovery of it creates a whole bunch of circumstances that moves on. So I'll be doing a novel of the next part of that, which will be The Little People and the Mountains of Monsters. But that'll be next year. That'll all be going up on my Patreon, and then I'll put it out at the end of next year. So let me see. I'm trying to figure out where I will start. So this is based off an actual campaign I ran. And what happened was the players gave me what their rough idea what their background was. And then I wrote it out for them and sent it to them, and they said that was good. So it wasn't planned to be a book, but it became one as we went on, as I was writing things out, and we went forward. So what interests me is kind of like what spurs the characters to become the adventurers at first, and then the actual adventure. So I'm going to see, site's a little long for the time we have. So I will go with I'll go with Nora's. Nora is the bard. So this is basically what triggered Nora to become a adventuring bard. A gnome child stomped her way along the countryside lane, singing as her parents walked contentedly after her. They were coming from a concert in the nearby village hall, performed by a travelling troupe of dwarven bards. I am a dwarf and I's digging a knoll, Nora declared more than sang. Oh, this is going to be going on for days, isn't it? Her father sighed. Yes, it is, and isn't it wonderful? She's learned songs and seen dwarves for the first time. Nora stopped suddenly, like something had surprised her. Mammy, what's a dwarf? Those men that were singing were dwarves, Nora. But you said they was bards. People who sing or play music for other people are called bards, dear. That's a job. So they is a dwarf, but they does bard. Silence reigned for a moment as the adults double-checked the logic. It worked. Yes, Nora, the same way you're a gnome, but also a nuisance, her father said, earning himself a gentle elbow to the ribs from his wife. Nora passed no heed. Her parents could nearly feel a big thought working its way through her tiny noggin. Can I be a dwarfy bard when I get big? Uh, no, dear. You can be a bard, but you'd be a gnome bard. Why? Because you're a gnome, dear. Remember what you are and what your job is are different? But I can be bard if you work hard at it. So I can be dwarf bard. No, dear. Yes. No child of mine will grow up to become a dwarf, her father said with a mock stern tone and dramatic finger wagging. Her mother stifled a laugh. Well, Nora's voice crept up several octaves and she moved into what her mother recognized as a pre-tantrum stance. Hey, now, you can be whatever you set your mind to being, Nora. Daddy's just trying to be funny. Nora sighed. He's not good at that, is he? She said mournfully. Hey! Her father objected. I thought that was funny. I'm sure you did, dear, her mother replied diplomatically. Now come on, it's late, and a great bard gets a good night's sleep. They do? Nora and her father said at once, in equally amazed tones. Well, yes. If they know what's good for them. There was a tone in her voice that made clear the discussion was closed. Okay, Mammy, said Nora, and returned to happily stomping her way through the night, though with a different tune. I is dwarf and I singing a song, singy, singy song, singy, singy song. Huh? Said Nora's father. What? Asked her mother. She's actually in the right key. Apologies, I really am not a singer. So that is the end of Nora. I'll do Orlin as well, actually. It's a bit of time for that. Orlin Cobbalob. Orlin Cobbalob, apprentice artificer, sat in the mandatory ethics in inventing class the guild school held at that time. Held at a time too close to dinner for his liking. If this thing overran, he could miss out some quality victuals, and that would not do. The lecturer had opted for a tale about brave gnomes, pioneers in airship design way back when, who were kidnapped and forced to make an airship for a mad kobold queen. Though she said she needed it for trade, it soon became apparent she was actually going to attack any surface settlements near the mountains she claimed as her own. Orlin was amusing himself by picking as many holes in the story as it could. It was easily done. He started making notes because he was having trouble keeping track of all the issues with this nonsensical story. The lecturer got to the conclusion where the captive gnomes convinced the Mad Queen they were the only ones who could pilot it, and then crashed it into the mountains to save the settlements from her evil, sacrificing themselves to stop their creation doing evil. Orlin couldn't suppress a scornful laugh. You have a question, young Master Cobbalob? Yes, pages of them, he said, waving his notes in the air. But I don't want to hold the class up with them. It's nearly dinner time, after all. Perhaps I could submit them in writing. You may, of course. I also like to eat, Master Cobbalob, but may I inquire as to what the general thrust of your inquiries are? Well, I count at least 116 ways they could have sabotaged the project without suspicion coming on them, yet they chose to complete it. Well, of course, they were artificers. How many of us ever get a chance to build an airship? There was general murmuring of assent. Airships were cool. It was the chance of a lifetime. I assume they had other plans, but they didn't work out, and so their hands were forced. Could any of you make the same decision if faced with those circumstances? Yeah, but... The lecturer waved a hand at him. Now, Master Cobbalob, the dinner bell's about to ring. Send in the rest of your objections in writing, and I'll give them the treatment they deserve. There was a lot of guffawing in the classroom. Now, on your way, lads and lassies. Next week, we'll get into the ethics of using other people's plans in your own projects. As the class filed out, the lecturer called out to Orlin. Master Orlin, a quick word, please. His classmates giggled. There were various, ooh, he's in trouble comments. But to his surprise, the lecturer was not displeased with them. Now, Master Orlin, something you should be aware of is that this story is based on an actual event. While we don't have eyewitness accounts, we do have some of their designs. Orland's eyes grew wide at the possibilities of what those designs could contain. When you get full access to the guild records for your final project, look into the older energy ballistae weapons. You may find them intriguing. Keep asking questions, young gnome. It's the only path to answers. Now, dinner. Orland's excitement waned. It would be years yet before he got that kind of access. Still, he dutifully jotted it down in his notebook as he made his way to the dining hall, and soon all memory of the conversation slipped from his mind as the injustice of all the gravy being gone when he got to the dining room occupied his thoughts. Then a few years later. So that's Orland's origin story as well. Are there any questions?
Yes, there are quite a few. 1 second, let me bring us back together. All right.
Good.
Yes, let me find our questions here. And I also want to throw that up. Let's see. So we have, I see quite a lot of humor in your writing. Does the humor come to you straight away, or do you end up making it in editing?
Oh no, the humor arrives, and then the parts that don't work on the rereading, they get taken out. But usually, the humor is usually the first thing that occurs to me. That's just from being a role-playing player, and that I'll always go for the humor first. Sometimes inappropriately, but depending on the situation. But yeah, the humor kind of shows up because I'm kind of role-playing the situation in my head to a degree.
Right.
Or the story. So that's like what if I was at a table saying this is what would come out of my mouth. So it goes down on the paper.
What is the hardest thing for you to write, given how it is that you generate your stories?
Stuff that actually touches on things in my real life to a degree. There's a level of exposure that comes with writing, and sometimes it can get uncomfortable, even in this kind of genres, because it just they like I know I have to write this part, but it can take me 2 or 3 days to actually get up the gumption to actually write them, and sometimes it's small. And to my knowledge, they don't register with the readers as any kind of big revelation, but it's for me, it's particularly with kind of emotional level stuff around different situations. Some of those can be difficult to bring yourself to write them, even though they may only involve one other person. They may never see it, but they would be the one person who knows what I'm referencing in that. So that putting that kind of stuff out there is difficult and challenging to a degree, and can be responsible for a lot of the writer's block type scenarios as well.
What do you do when you get writer's block? I'm asking all these questions, but I have so many from the audience as well. But then I'm like, I don't know.
Okay, I've got all night. You probably don't, but I do. What do? I panic about having writer's block. About having writer's block. But I have the interactive, the Twitter thing. It's very rare I would do that. And having that one thing, having that thing that you're going to go, and it's only maybe 20, 30 words. Neil Gaiman said he wrote Coriolanus in like 50 words a day. So maybe just sitting down and getting one sentence or those words, even if you're going to come back and delete them tomorrow and write different ones. Just and it's like when I say like, don't think you have to go and write an entire chapter or force yourself to do it. Just go down and write like what the next sentence is, and if that's all you can get out, if that's all you can get out, that's all you can get out, and that slowly drags me along. And also, if your living depends on it, if you have bills to pay and things like that.
Well, I actually think I can't recall anybody in the past having ever said they've used that method to overcome writer's block, but I really like it because I think that sometimes one of the things that causes stuff like writer's block or other similar blockages mentally, even if it's not related to writing necessarily, but like even maybe related to what tasks do I need to get done today? And if suddenly you feel like there's just an overwhelming amount of things that are going on that will not be herded like cats, um, then just doing a little bit helps, helps, like you
Yeah,
said, like to move it along. And that's actually I've never really thought of applying that to a writer's block, but that's like a super good way to handle it, I think.
yeah.
Let's see. We have this from Gunther. Do you have a modern author that you find yourself modeling your writing style after?
I not on purpose. I'm almost definitely influenced by absolutely everybody I've ever read, and I've read a lot. So,
Well, I
um,
mean, it's like impossible to not be somewhat influenced, right? Like, I mean, you can't unknow or unread things. So,
your English teacher, everything,
yeah.
your entire life influences that. But I don't like sit down and go, I'm going to write, I don't know, I'm not going to write a Dan Brown. I don't like sit
Hmm.
down and go, I'm going to write like Dan Brown because that's where all the money is. Because I can't. I can only write like myself. And I am a combination of everything that has influenced me in my life, as is everyone else. So, no, I wouldn't have a modern author I'd model my writing style after. My writing style is a bit too chaotic to be really considered a style, um, to a degree.
It is your own.
Yes, it'd be sort of the Jackson Pollock style of writing. Just throw it all on the page and hope it makes sense at some point.
Let's see. Do you have any expertise outside of writing that helps you in your creative work?
I people. I worked security for a long time, so dealing with people to a degree helps. And like, some of my kind of fight scenes get a bit too technical sometimes, and I have to go back and deal with it. But in that, and because a large part of this, you're not actually in the situations a lot of the time. You're watching the. There's a lot of people watching that goes on, and that kind of informs to a degree. Um,
You
like,
have a good
and
pool of sample like background characters that you can just, throw things in there and then add the small details that make them seem realistic, believable.
yeah, and a lot of very silly things happen generally. And the movies is like all the cool stuff, but a lot of the time it's been silly people being silly and doing things. And it's like if I've seen a lot of situations where it looked chaotic, and then somebody took a breath for a second and resolved the situation like on the spot as soon as they like took their ego out of it for a second, and that's a key skill I think for just about everything. So, and that informs some of my characters as well, where they just like pause for that second, get that breath, and go, "Oh yeah, why am I doing this when I can just sidestep?" It's so that kind of work, and also it's like I've done Tai Chi, I've won world championships in Tai Chi, and that again, a lot of that is about knowing yourself and knowing your abilities, and understanding how people are to a degree. So that informs it, and that kind of informs the humor as well.
Kind of
Very few
drawing on
people,
real things that you've observed or
yes, and you know, also there's the whole Irish thing of just not letting people away with anything, particularly if they're your friends. It's,
like you
um,
don't let them live it down. Is that what you mean?
yeah, I
I,
mean, I get that a lot too. So that's
I didn't realize that this was an Irish thing, but it's good to know. Don't mess up or the Irish will never let you live it down.
if we're friends with you, if you're just like a random guest or something, then we'll all politely ignore it, very much like the English do. But if we know you well, then that's
Then it
going
becomes like
into
part of your litany, right? Like,
yeah.
it's like that one time at Christmas dinner when the thing happened and we talk about it forevermore.
Yeah. Particularly if you're getting the upper hand on something, then just reach in the pocket and go, remember this, though?
Yeah.
The
That
Yu-Gi-Oh!
one
Face down
time.
trap cord that one time.
There was one more question here, and let's see. It is nope, not that one. This one. Do your own interactions with children and animals help inspire your writing?
Absolutely. More the animals. No,
More the animals.
yeah. I have a lot of nieces, and they're getting towards the double digits now, but yeah, they can do that worldview and that simplified worldview, and kind of the black and whiteness to a degree as well. Of kind of seeing, I don't know. I think children are far more moral than most adults about what's fair and what's not fair, depending on the environment, of course. But
That's kind of strange that you say that, because I guess that I tend to agree with that, but at the same time, they are simultaneously like evil little things, right? Like they're all about like being fair and the following the rules and doing whatever, but then also it's like if you look away for 2 seconds, then suddenly they're playing pranks or doing whatever, getting into trouble. It's like
yep,
very black and white, like whoop whoop whoop,
I
flip
don't. Well,
flopping.
that makes for interesting characters to that degree as well. There's nobody there's no. I don't think I have a character that doesn't have like that element of chaos to them. And I think we all should have that to a degree, and let it fly as long as it's not actually harming people.
I think that maybe it's because as a kid you don't really know about some of the repercussions of the actions that you're taking, and so it's while it is like greatly mischievous, it's not, what's the word I'm looking for? Like you're not intentionally trying to harm, right? It just turns out to be chaotic and mischievous.
Yeah, it's exploring what the world and stuff around you.
Yeah.
Oh, I forget the guy's name. There was a guy he did like scare 'em straight type programs for kids, not scare 'em straight, but something
Oh,
like that.
no,
But
that sounds terrible.
one of the thing was is like somebody sent like a 9-year-old to one of his classes, and he's like, I can't know out. So what? They don't know yet. When they're like 12, 13, their brains will have worked out what's right and wrong. Right now, less than double digit kids haven't developed those barriers, or
Yeah.
yeah, they're just exploring things. They're not
Yep.
actively being evil with that
Right.
in
And
the
that,
most
like
part.
they're just like poking things and seeing what happens, as opposed to premeditating, doing
Yeah.
something harmful. So, um, well, I think so. That is the last of the questions that we have from the audience. Now, you guys, put your names into the comment now if you want to be entered onto the Wheel of Win. For today, we're doing a copy of The Little People.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so a copy of The Little People, and if you want to be entered to win for that, now is the time. Put your name into the comments so I can get you onto the Wheel of Win. And I also had up there, can you elaborate? The Smashwords is currently
Smashwords
having a sale.
are
Yes.
doing Smashwords have a annual Christmas sale, which literally just started today, and the Little People is 25% off. It's only $2.99 to start with, dollars. That's not a wheel.
Very good. So that is there. And let me go see who we have here in the whoop. Okay, I see you, Newt. I see you, Melissa. Let me get you guys on the list. Yep. We're just going to give everybody a chance here to get their names in. There's always a little bit of lag.
There. That's not fair.
What was that?
What happens if my name's in there? What happens if I win?
Well, I take your name out and then we do it again. So your name is in there because you got on the Patreon as well, and that means that you're eligible to be in all of our drawings. So I take people out of their own drawings. I guess I just forgot to do that when I was. Where is this? I can do that.
There's some cool names in there.
Yeah, we ask we invite people to use their basically whatever name they would like to be known as when they join our Patreon, and then if they do, they can join our Discord, and if they have a name that they like to go by in those areas, then that's what I put onto the wheel. That's what they want to be called, and that's what I'm going to call them. So. And it also I think makes for a little bit more discretion as well. But let's see. So I think with that said, I don't see any more names, even though I see people out there. Okay, so we will.
Come on, people.
I know, right? Well, all of these are like whoop, all of our automatic entries as well. I'm actually
there's more than what I'm seeing there. That's okay.
Oh yes, there's a lot. So those. Well, because a lot of people will go back and watch shows since they can't make it, say they're at work or whatever. So they still get to be, ooh, I chose pretty colors today. So this is our wheel. Bam! And we will spin it. And congratulations, you are the winner of today's copy of The Little People by Legend Gerry. All right, that will be cool. Meg will like that. And so close, Briar. Briar is one of our new folk, almost, right? Let's see here. There we go. Yay, bringing us back together a little bit. It is 3:02. Is there anything that you would like to say to everybody before we let you go this afternoon?
Let's see. You can find most of my stuff on my Patreon as well. That's Legendary is down there somewhere. You can also link through to the website, legendary.com. And my infic is just about to finish up on Twitter if you want to have a look at it there. Thanks. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, I'm very easy to find if you have any more questions. If you join my Patreon this month, you will not be charged for January.
You will not be charged for Jan. Yay, I have a special going too. So we both have Patreon specials. Join your Patreon and you will not be charged for January. So it's like 1 month free.
Yep.
Right on. And if you join our Patreon, then you will get a free magic potion for the month of December. So we both have some cool things that are going, little special offers. Yay! All right. With that said, then I guess that brings us to the end of the show. And everybody, it's Friday. You guys have a good weekend. I will see a bunch of you in person tomorrow at Portland Zoo Lights. We're going down south, and we're having a meetup there. So that will be exciting. And you must already be on Saturday since you're or close to it.
No, I've got another hour to go. Is that a LARP thing or is it
yes. Yeah, both. So we do run a LARP here, and we have an online game in the Hedge, that's what we call our Discord server, and that online game also corresponds with our in-world meetups that we do. So we want something more exciting to do than say gather at the empty room in the library, and so we pick some activity and everybody ferries up, and then we just kind of basically ferry flash mob. So it's Portland Zoo Lights because they do up the
Dublin
zoo
does something similar.
Yeah, with the Christmas lights.
So you guys you don't even give them a heads up. You just arrive.
Yep, correct. We just arrive in all of our fairy glory and finery and do what we're gonna do. So it turns out to be really fun. People are always interested. They ask us what's going on. It makes people smile. They want to take selfies with us, and so it tends to be a pretty good time. So I'm looking forward to it. And tomorrow we're actually using the zoo lights as a backdrop for taking a group photo for next year's holiday card that we send out. So I send out holiday cards every year, and I didn't get one of a group photo for this year. The year before we had a group photo, and next year will be a group photo as well, and I'm excited for that. So that's yeah. So you should hop on our Discord, guy. Come see us.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Have a good Friday and a good weekend to you, and happy holidays, sir.
And happy holidays to you. Okay, thank you so much for having me on.
Yep,
Have
thank
fun
you.
tomorrow.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello, friends. This is Gone for Hammerhands. Thank you for checking out Fairy Princess Lolly's channel. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. Use your troll hammer to ring that little bell icon to get notifications when she posts future videos. And if you'd like to support these magical creations, fly over to our Patreon and join the fairy family.